You're listening to Captain John Doe. Real aviation stories told anonymously. Let's get into it. Hello, happy Wednesday, our favorite day, Captain John Doe Day. How are you guys doing?
Welcome back to the podcast everybody wants to be listening to right now, where we share these anonymous stories from you guys, the listeners. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mindy. Thanks for tuning back in. We are sitting in our podcast studio right now while it is raining in Las Vegas, which is very abnormal.
Yeah, this is a weird one. 98% of every single day it is shining. The sun is coming down. It's hot out, but not this weekend.
I kind of love it. I love a rainy day, especially on the weekend. I know that we love to do things on the weekend, but sometimes a rainy Saturday is the perfect excuse to not do anything and not feel guilty about it.
Except this weekend, not so much.
For you, not for me.
So I planned with one of my coworkers this weekend to go over to Phoenix, and we were going to rent a Diamond DA-42 and get our time building in because I'm progressing quickly on my ATP rating, or minimums, I should say, and heading straight towards the airlines. But I only have 7 hours in a multi when I got it last November. So a year ago, today is the last time I flew a multi. So this weekend we were going to go rent it for about 3 days, get 20 hours in it and knock that out. But this storm is widespread. It's cold out too. So that's the biggest problem. So the original plan was to fly Mojo with me and my buddy down to Phoenix, pick up the plane, and then we're going to fly who knows where. But there's no options to even get to Phoenix. And then once we're in Phoenix, the weather's in Phoenix too, which is insane.
Widespread bad weather. So yeah, that sucks. You have to reschedule it, but definitely something to look forward to. Multi-engine flying is so much fun, especially in a Diamond or something like that, where you're not teaching. You can go rent it. I know it's expensive, but I mean, it's something we have to do as part of your career progression. And how fun is that going to be just to go rip around in a multi?
Yeah. And I'm choosing to do it in a Diamond. That's what I have my rating in, and I'm comfortable in it.
Right.
But I was looking forward to it because I'm so used to teaching, and me and my coworker for the first time in who knows how long are just going to be flying, which is sweet. And for those listening, we're going to be PIC/safety pilot. I looked into this heavily to make sure that the airlines, when they go do my logbook review, will be able to take it. And every recruiter and interviewer I talked to said, absolutely, this is 99% of all multi-time they see is how we're going to do it. So
how else would you get it unless you're an MEI, and not all schools have a multi-engine, just like your school. Your school doesn't have a multi for you to be an MEI, which is a multi-engine flight instructor. That's how people normally get multi-engine time. But if your school doesn't have it, you got to go rent it or find a friend, a really generous friend.
And let's put the reality out there for everybody listening that's going through this process is you need about 25 hours if you're going airline. If you're going anything else, you need the 50 hours. How do you come up with the extra? I did it in 7 hours. I need 17 more hours. Yeah. And it's $450 an hour. That's wild. So I had to get somebody to do it. And there's no other option for me because I'm full-time instructing in Cirruses.
I was lucky to get mine in brand new Beechcraft Baron.
Yeah, you were.
I got to rip around in a Baron for a couple of years. When I was working for Textron Aviation, I was selling brand new airplanes. I was also a demo pilot as part of being a sales rep for them. And I was a Baron demo pilot as well, so I would get to fly Barons around the Southeast. That was my territory at the time. What a cool airplane. I felt like the coolest person ever rolling up in a Baron, and I got lots of time that way, and that's how I hit my ATP minimums. Otherwise, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have multi-engine time either.
Let's just be clear, it was the coolest thing ever. Anytime you had the Baron back at Falcon Field, I made a point to go out there and see it.
Yeah.
I never got to fly it, but that plane itself was a machine.
Well, speaking about Mojo, that you were going to use it to go to Arizona, Mojo is our 1957 Cessna 182, if you're just tuning in. And I posted something on social media. If you follow us over there, my account is Mindy. You could find it via the Captain John Doe accounts if you are tuned in there as well. And I went out to update the databases. Our Garmin databases are built into our panel. The way you update them is you can do it via Bluetooth on our airplane because it's got the latest and greatest Garmin goodies, or you can do it via SD card. So you download all the databases onto an SD card from your computer, go out to the airplane, plug it in, and then it updates all of your charts, your taxi diagrams, everything like that. So I was out there doing that the other day. I downloaded everything on the SD card, which, by the way, this is a chore. It's not hard, but it's a chore. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to update the database to this, because I'm not very good at it sometimes. So I get out there, get in the hangar, I put the SD card in, and then I turn on, or was trying to turn on, the avionics master switch, which makes our panel come alive. That's the brains to all of it coming on. And I flipped it on, and nothing happened, and I felt a weightlessness on my finger. And I look, and the whole toggle switch disappeared, just literally vanished into thin air. So I'm looking at the switch, and it's broken off at the base. I was like, that's interesting. That's not good. Luckily, it didn't turn on. It was stuck in the off position, but I never heard the toggles thing hit the ground. So I'm searching everywhere. Where could it be? And we have a little side pocket that I put on the side panel of our airplane, and I just look in there because I cannot find the part that broke, and it's sitting in there. I have no idea how it flipped into that netting, but needless to say, it broke, and we are down and out.
I think my favorite part about this whole thing is you now have 200 plus mechanics telling you that we should drill a hole into our panel and super glue the toggle switch back to get us home, which is, I enjoyed reading all these things. And I always appreciated, if you were one of those fellow commenters, don't worry, we appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, I love social media, and this is a prime example.
Yeah, number one, we're at our home base. We don't need to fly at home. Number two,
right, we're not stuck out somewhere.
This is not like a rocker switch. Like, this is the circuit breaker to everything. Like, this is a certified part. We can't just plug and play.
Oh, the amount of people that told me to go to Home Depot and to re-rig it myself. I'm like, okay, many issues with the armchair expert mechanics that are flooding into my DMs. It's a certified airplane. You can't just go to Home Depot and buy a part. That's the unfortunate part about aviation. It freaking sucks because, yes, a lot of the parts are identical to what you can find at AutoZone, but it is not approved to go on the airplane.
A screwdriver also is not approved for a toggle switch. I get it. If we had to get home, we would make that work.
Get creative, to be fair. And be quiet about it.
and also, we also understand this is not like a super big project, but you got to get the part. And guess what? I don't know if you guys noticed, but air travel is a little bit disrupted. So our part decided to just get lost in limbo. So we still, a week later, have no part.
It was supposed to be, so this happened on a Friday night. Literally at 4:30 p.m. this happened. Kevin gets off work, gets to the hangar. As this is going down, I'm like, oh my gosh, are the mechanics still here on the field? So we race over there. They've already cracked open their second beer by now. And we're like, oh my gosh, can you please help us? And they're like, well, let's order the part. It should be here. Hopefully Monday, maybe Tuesday, which was a holiday. It was Veterans Day. So, yeah, it was supposed to be a 2 or 3 day turnaround on getting it fixed. And now it's been 8 days because we're waiting on a part. And that's aviation for you.
Yes.
In a nutshell. This is the silliest reason for us to be grounded. It's a freaking switch. It's a switch.
It's a switch.
It's so stupid.
But we need said switch to talk to people. Yeah, we have a handhold, everybody. We do. But we're not going to just operate underneath the Bravo in Las Vegas with a hand.
And we're at a tower at airport. Like, there's no reason. Again, we're not stuck somewhere. It is in our own hangar. So all these commenters that were saying to do some pretty wild stuff to get that switch on and get it working, I'm like, no. You guys don't understand.
We're home.
Oh, the other problem is you guys don't understand how I am not mechanically inclined, nor do I trust myself to do any of that, nor is it legal. Again, everything has to be certified, including the mechanic.
The certified part gets lost, apparently, in translation. And
I get it. A lot of y'all are cowboys, and I appreciate that, but we're not. I make everything super standard on the airplane. I would hate for something to happen, and it would destroy me if something happened and it was because of our shitty work that we did to it illegally. And
let's if we're talking about legality reasons, the avionics switch per, the regs is not required, right? But
a working radio is in our airspace.
I know. I'm saying they could argue the handheld and all these things. Let's eliminate all that. Let's say that we could get through legally to operate the plane. We still have to inop it, and we have no way of inoping it because there's no circuit breaker attached to our avionics switch because that is the circuit breaker.
Like, what's the point? Why would we jump through hoops to go on a joy flight? We are not transporting hearts and livers and lungs. It is not that important for us to fly.
No, what we're going to do is my mechanic texted me saying that they ordered another part because the other one, like I said, is lost in limbo, and it did come in. It's the weekend, so no one wants to work. So hopefully sometime next week we can fit it in because it's only going to take them 30 minutes to put it in. But
right, all that to say that, again, not so mad it's raining today. If it was raining today and Mojo was there just calling our name, ready to fly, I would be a little upset.
And I'm off today too. So we would have been a little down in the dumps. But this rain is it's already bothering me because the whole point of the original story is I'm supposed to be doing my multi. But now, it's raining. I feel justified. It's freezing out. There's no way I could fly our airplane. The diamonds they have, I'm not so sure they have Fiki, which I don't really think it's super smart as a...
Well, even if they're Fiki, you don't want to seek out icing in a light piston. Even the Cirruses I sell that are Fiki equipped, I tell all my clients, it is certified into known icing, but you as a pilot flying a single engine piston in this case, why would you seek out known icing?
Correct.
Ever. I get a thin layer, whatever, but if it's a heavy ice day or a lot of PIREPs are out reporting icing, why?
You just open up a can of worms. That's a hot topic in the serious world because you're going to hear a lot of people say, it's certified for icing, send it. Whereas
great.
Me and you, and when I do these embark trainings, I have that opinion is this piece of equipment is there for your benefit when you have to use it. Have to use it, right? But seeking it out is just a weird thing.
Maybe you've got this big cross-country plan and there's just a little bit of weather in between and you did some good flight planning to figure out layers and where you think you could be out of it. But worst case is going to be 30 minutes of icing or something.
Yeah.
There's so many scenarios where I'd say send it, but there's so many scenarios where I'd say ground
This is a 2-hour plus time in hard IMC and icing right now with the storm. It's like an atmospheric river. For those of you who've lived out west, you've heard that before. For us being in Florida, we have hurricanes, but out west, they have these storms that just hang over the valleys for days, and that's what we got going on right now, and it's widespread.
It's gross.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys have some great weather stories. Last episode, we had a phenomenal story about a pilot who submitted their anonymous story about flying next to a water spout, landing an emergency landing at an Air Force base, having weapons drawn on them, the whole 9 yards. So if you guys have something to submit, go to captainjohndoe.com. It's fully anonymous and we read them right here on the show. You guys have been absolutely crushing it with the submissions. Keep them coming because we are fully reading submissions. Sometimes I read some Reddit stories because they're really funny or they're really great and I can't help myself. But these next few episodes are all submissions because we've got some great ones I cannot pass up on.
100%. And speaking of submissions, I'm sure a lot of you have been dealing with the delays of air travel the past 45 days. So if you got any good stories,
oh my gosh,
that's something that we should be thinking about. I know you guys are out there. Like this has been a lot of disruption due to the shutdown. I have never seen the FAA purposely
limit
travel due to staffing at a widespread scale like that. So if you got anything good from the pilot side, from the passenger side, any side, like let us know.
I'm sure one of you guys have seen a major meltdown in a commercial terminal lately.
Oh, I can't imagine.
You used to walk the terminal when you were an air traffic controller at Orlando. And I remember you said, you're not a mean guy, but you said your favorite pastime was walking around the terminal and watching the meltdown.
The favorite thing I could do, because like I'm in the radar room watching how much we are delayed. And, you know, I'm not single-handedly responsible for it, but there's a lot to do with myself there. And I'd like to go to the terminal and just see like the chaos. I'd go look at the little whiteboard and be like, delay. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just abysmal. But, you know,
let's go see the families falling apart.
The little wins that you can here and there, right?
It's terrible. Well, speaking of submissions, the most important submissions you guys can give us for our show is reviews.
Yes.
You guys have no idea how important that is for the podcast game. We have been self-funding this project because we believe in it and we wanted to generate a new sense of community and ways for people to share about their experiences in a new way. And to keep this going, we would love for you guys to submit a review. It can be 2 words. I don't care how long or short, but some people are submitting some really thoughtful ones. And I just want to say we're reading all of them. And they are so important to us, not only for us to have the motivation to do this, but again, for the popularity of the show. So someone submitted this to our website, which is just as good. But if you, whatever platform you're on, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you could drop us a rating and a review, oh my gosh, you are our best friend. But this person submitted to our website. They said, not a story, just a fan letter from a captain. Okay, actually just an FO, Jane Doe. Thank you for taking time out of both your busy schedules to bring this podcast to us. Sometimes aviation-related podcasts feel so serious all the time. How to make the right career moves, how to be in the right seat of a 777 in 5 years, 10 most common check ride mistakes, etc., etc. Aviation is fun. Thank you for bringing that to the forefront in a way that feels like a casual hangar hangout. Looking forward to many more stories and laughs with y'all on my commutes to work. Although I'm in the 121 world now, I love hearing about general aviation, instructing, military, and all the other many ways in which people are engaged in our community. The variety makes me smile. None of it is really all that different because we all love the same thing, planes.
Wow. Thank you, future Captain Jane Doe.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what this podcast embodies, is we have the same thought. Like we've always wanted to probably expand into the podcast world and utilize, you know, what you've built, Mindy, like your brand you built, and then my experience as a controller and now as an instructor. But like, how did we funnel that into something that we would enjoy?
Well, a lot of it came from first I was like, I would love to get into podcasting. So I was like, we have a lot of stories between the two of us. Why don't we share our own stories? So we started jotting down experiences that we've had, good topics and stuff. And then I just felt like, man, I don't want to talk about ourselves all day, every day. Like I would love to involve other people. So then that brings you to having guests on. And that's what most podcasts do. They bring guests on. And then I was thinking, well, that's extremely limiting as well, because typically a guest that comes on is going to be someone noteworthy or an influencer or something like that, which is great. But what about all the other people? What about the 70-year-old guy flying a Cardinal that has just one story that really sticks out that maybe doesn't constitute a whole guest episode, or maybe doesn't want to be a guest?
That's the biggest thing, is like, you might not want to be a guest, but you enjoy sharing, and you enjoy hearing your story be told on a platform. And that's what this platform is. It's for people to share their stories anonymously, because obviously you guys have been listening to this. Like, we have some crazy stories. We have also just like good stories. Like, depends on what we're doing that day. Like, today's stories are going to be fun and short. Sometimes we have long stories that go back and forth between spouses, or long stories that are very intricate. It really makes
so diverse. But at the end of the day, we are for the people. Morgan and Morgan.
Oh my gosh. We're going to get sued for that.
Okay. All right, let's get into why everybody's here.
All right.
Wait, just funny note for you guys. In the background, we just have literally bullet points of what we want to talk about. So Kevin will pick out stories. We have a whole spreadsheet of everyone's stories that have been submitted. And then me and Kevin go through and claim them. So he'll highlight blue the ones that he wants to read. I highlight pink the ones I want to read. Very, very simple strategy we have going on. But then we have just bullet points for the particular show. And it'll say like the title of the story that we chose to read. And I'm looking, it says KL, more drugs. But I'm like, what is this?
Speaking of more drugs, apparently everybody here has some sort of drug story with aviation. This one is not like as the same as El Chapo story, but we
need some drug runner stories. Okay, this is anonymous. If you guys have ran drugs, you need to hop in our DMs.
It just seems like every time you are coming back internationally, somebody's got a little story that they think that you were the ones running the drugs when, you're not. But
all right,
anyways,
hit me.
All right. This is a listener submitted story. I wasn't on this particular flight, but I had to pick someone up from the airport who had just flown in to visit his family. Everything seemed normal until we started heading home. Out of nowhere, I got pulled over by the state patrol for supposedly speeding, only 8 miles over. It felt odd because cars were flying past me, yet I was the one targeted. To make it worse, the trooper had been riding my bumper as I passed a semi, which forced me to go a little over 5 miles per hour above my usual limit. It was dark, so I had no idea that a cop was behind me. I tried to argue the ticket, but he insisted on writing me up. Then he asked if his partner could search my vehicle. I said, only if I don't get a ticket. He agreed somehow. What struck me as strange was that the officer went directly for the bag that the pilot I had picked up had placed in my car, almost like they knew something. They didn't find anything, of course. Later, I realized there weren't just 2 state troopers behind me. There was Border Patrol and several other agency vehicles too. That's when they mentioned they suspected the plane my friend had flown in was a drug plane because it had been going back and forth between 2 locations. In reality, my friend was just visiting family. It was such a surreal experience that I could easily unpack the whole story on a podcast episode. There's way more to it than just this.
Well, tell us more.
Bring it. That's why I wanted to pick this, because I figured if I read it, he's going to give a little bit more.
Type it up. Okay, another hot tip about submitting to the show is use the voice to text feature on your phone or computer. Just talk to it. That way it comes out naturally and you don't have to spend 30 minutes typing out a story. Just talk to your phone, let it do the voice to text feature, submit, because I want to hear the rest of this story. What do you mean there's more?
This is confusing to me. Like you're telling me this plane was going back and forth between the 2 locations. Like that happens all the time.
Right. I'm not buying it that he's just visiting family.
What are the 2 locations?
Does his family do drugs?
The 2 locations are
drugs
on the border. Obviously, they make They make drugs? You just keep talking it. I'm just like, I'm trying to think about it. But like this story intrigued me because there is no sense into why you would get pulled over for your buddy flying back and forth. I fly back and forth 3 times a day.
Why this is confusing and why I want to know the rest of the story is because it's not like they accidentally targeted the wrong plane. They targeted the correct plane, found the correct pilot and correct bag. Why were they targeted?
Yes.
Why was all these agencies involved in this huge, what's it called? Sting. Sting. No, it stakes out when
they had to stake him out because they had to see the guy get out of the plane and into this car.
Okay, whatever. Sting. It's a sting up.
Sting.
Why did they stage this sting on this particular person unless they were really confident? There's no way that they are going that far unless they're confident. I'm sorry, your friend does drugs. Just telling you.
Done. Judge Judy just made her decision. Boom.
Okay, maybe not does drugs, but does fly drugs.
Send in the story and then we'll recall and we will
recant.
We'll get an appeal. Okay, we'll get an appeal.
Yeah, prove us wrong.
Prove us wrong.
Because I'm not buying it. You know what's interesting?
What?
And maybe I'm going to have some of these facts wrong. So someone else can fact check me and write in because I'm not going to do it. A family member of mine was a police officer and told me that if you provide intel to the airport police, like you can become an informant essentially. And if you figure out a drug operation or something like that, and inform law enforcement, you have to be in this special program. It's not just like a basic referral, but you got to be in this program and you tell them about an operation going on and they seize, let's say, $1 million in cash due to it or whatever. You get a cut of it. You get a commission.
Wow, we're just going to share that little story with everybody so they know that now they can make a little bit of money.
Yeah, I don't care if people get told on for running drugs.
That's a crazy thing. Do they advertise this?
No.
Because you know how like when there's like something that bad happens and you'll see, you know, monetary values put out for information. Right. Is that how it works, or is it like a secret program?
This is different because...
Like I'm at the Henderson Executive Airport and I am the safety guard. I have a little badge that I walk around and look for drugs.
Neighborhood watch, baby.
Neighborhood watch.
The most respected people in the neighborhood.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty sure that's true. Maybe some of the facts are skewed, but that's what I recall them telling me because some of their friends were also airport police at Orlando International, actually. And I was told about this program because he's like, hey, you want to make some extra money? I'm like, I have no clue about drug runners. This is not like, I would love to make a cut of whatever money you're seizing, but I have no idea.
So I'm not going to throw anybody on the bus, but that was what you just talked about. Our because of the relationship, we knew a lot of cops. And I was friends with some of the guys that worked at Orlando. And as we talked about earlier, I would walk around the terminal on my break, and it was so obvious to me who it was and wasn't.
You knew that.
I know, but like there was 2 guys specifically that I was good friends with, so I would always find them. And then they would always be with like a DEA agent or like some other federal agent. And I would like hide like over like the column and like peek my head out just so they could see me and then like hide. And it would happen all the time. And I'd always get a text from my buddy. He's like, stop.
You were so lucky that you never got tackled because the people that they were with did not know you were toying. And also you're giving them up.
I never gave them up. I never went up to them unless like my buddies came up to me. I was smart, but like they were such...
It was so funny.
They wore like these little Disney backpacks.
I was just about to say that. And carrying on to my displeasure of Disney adults. So sorry. I got some text about that from the last episode. I will formally apologize. I still don't support it, but I support you being who you are. So if you're a Disney adult, you do you. But they were these really like manly men wearing Disney bags because they were trying to blend in. They were undercover cops at the airport, and I saw them several times too, and I would always die laughing.
Yeah. Okay, we'll end it at that because I don't want to keep divulging more information.
Moving on. Moving on. It's getting not so anonymous anymore.
Yeah, and what they were doing, because I know.
Okay. Hey there, Captain Joe. I am loving this new podcast. I currently work in the aviation industry. Let's just say behind the scenes. I don't work in the public eye and work at a facility that is highly regarded, well known to those in the FAA, hint, hint, and to the major carriers. We are also live to national air-related incidents, whether they are GA or commercial. So I think it rhymes with Shmia.
I'm understanding what's going on here.
Is it rhyme with Shmia? I think so. However, my earlier background was actually working for a major carrier until a dreaded merger occurred in the late 80s. I worked in the mid-Atlantic region, and that may be in a future story will divulge which busy and always growing major airport this true story occurred at. So again, totally true, and I have quite a few to give you and your audience. Keep them coming. But for the sake of a starting point, let's go back to the 80s during my ramp rat days, working the old 737-200, 300, 400 series. Let's also include 727s, both domestic over water. Oh yeah, let's not forget the nasty Fokker F-28s. I'll explain in a future story why this comment was made. Oh yeah, we also had the DC-9 and MD-80s. This guy's like a golden retriever.
We got a wordsmith that is like a little hummingbird.
Squirrel.
Ah!
But for the sake of this post at a time slot to meet your criteria, let me get started on a harrowing experience that was almost life-ending for me. True story. During a mid-afternoon busy 4 o'clock push, as we referred to it, I almost came close to losing my life. The craziest thing, there was a few witnesses that came up to me later in that day to tell me how lucky I was to be alive. Back in these ramp rat days, you had an assigned schedule of flights to work. You could do anything from loading and unloading cargo bays, working air cargo, catering, water, lab trucks. That particular summer day, a beautiful day as I recall, high 80s, humidity, was working on the ramp in a particular zone of our pier. We had 4 zones of mainline flights and a commuter area. I was working the mainline jets and had just finished loading a plane for departure, a 737-300, flight number not pertinent here. If he remembers the flight number from the 80s, that is impressive. The fact that he remembers the aircraft variants from the 80s is impressive to me. Okay. As I finished up closing the aft cargo door, I glimpsed my next flight coming up to a gate about 3 gates away from my current flight, a larger 727-200 overwater aircraft rolling up to the gate. I decided that the best way to get to that aircraft was to run across the ramp area, which was clear of vehicles and aircraft traffic, to get to the plane. As I approached the 727 from the near back of the number 2 engine, the rear Airstairs dropped to support the aircraft unloading process. But maybe most viewers or listeners may not understand the significance here. The rear Airstairs allows passengers to deplane the aircraft in the event of an emergency, but also allows for airline personnel to start servicing the aircraft from the rear forward for the next flight. But more importantly, the Airstairs drop with a hydraulic piston. It releases from a hook-like device, and it drops about 4 to 5 feet instantly. And then the pressure of the hydraulic cylinder slows the action so it doesn't slam into the ground. But again, my point is that I chose to run right under that area as it was releasing. Completely my error. I was a mere 3 feet from the side of the Airstairs. I had gotten complacent. My complacency almost cost me my life. It would have crushed my skull immediately along with my neck and back. Other airline workers saw this and were horrified. What I can tell you is that complacency can kill. I was very lucky, and I can vividly recall this event. I will never forget this day. And to this day, I use it as a learning tool about being complacent. Take the precautions, use knowledge to prevent a serious mistake. Working for the airlines was a ton of fun in the 80s, 90s, and so on. I have many friends from back in the day that I'm still close with today, and we talk about this incident from time to time. I'm glad to be alive, a dangerous situation, and I can tell you that never happened again. Until my next story, take care, be vigilant, fly on.
Well, thank you very much for sending that in. The first thing that comes to mind is a very off-the-wall little thought. I can't get it out of my head, is I'm going to give some parental advice right now because I'm super qualified for that. So as a child,
as a man with no kid.
as a child growing up, the only thing that I ever thought about as my job or anything was baseball. Nothing. So laying the groundwork, I had zero like path to a career. Okay. If you have a child like that, which a lot of us or a lot of you guys probably do, there's two jobs that you need to make them do. Number one, go work for Enterprise, run a car. I don't even need to explain why. There is no other job that will beat them down to a pulp and teach them how to be,
disciplined in your career.
how to progress and get out of that. Number two is a ramp worker, because of what this guy just said. Is I was a ramp worker at Embry-Riddle, not at Embry-Riddle, but at Shelter in Daytona.
Servicing Embry-Riddle.
And the thing about working on the ramp is you're way too responsible for so many things.
And
I was
a dangerous environment.
19-year-old kid, and the responsibility they put on you is so ridiculous, because you are responsible for fueling and managing the airplane on the ground and all the moving parts that go in. So like that taught me so young of the complacency thing and doing checklists before I was a pilot, right? This was before I even thought I was going to do anything. Is like, you can't skip things. You have to double check things. You have to be timely. You know, there was so many learning experiences from this experience that like really, really helped. And like this story shows like how dangerous it could be.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a scary sight. If I were to see that from across the ramp, see the Airstair coming out, because I imagine from the story, it comes down with force and it only slows down right before it hits the ground. So if you were standing under the Airstair, that could be so bad. Like, I wonder what precautions they have in place now to help prevent that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something.
I'm flying jets, before even reading this, obviously, I always get scared to open the door because I always get nervous that there's going to be a line guy there. There's a little window that you can see, but it only shows you, like, for example, on the longitude I fly, the window is pointed straight down and it's pointed down at the ground. So it's more so to protect the stairs than to protect people, because it's so that the stairs don't come down on top of something. Like, let's say there was like a cone there or whatever, but the window doesn't show you visibility to the whole ramp. So I can't see if there's a line guy standing there, and usually they are, and they know how far the stair comes out, but I'm always scared to open it because I don't want to drop it on someone's head. I literally think about that all the time. So it's so crazy that someone wrote in that story.
Yeah. So would you say, like in jet world, the stairs are like the propeller for a little piston, where you need to keep your wide berth around it and always act like it's hot? Same with like the stairs. It's always act like it's hot, because I never really thought about that as much. That if you press that button, they're coming down, and for some reason someone's underneath it.
Well, now I'm really scared. I mean, the Airstair, to be fair, it comes down quite slowly in the longitude.
But if the hydraulics fail,
yeah, interesting. That's scary. Well, speaking of college jobs, you were a line guy in college, and I had the funniest job in college. Not funny, but it was kind of funny at the time. I was a maintenance assistant at this shop in Ormond Beach, Florida.
I remember this. You were a little AMP dog.
I know. And I just mentioned how I'm not mechanically inclined when it comes to aircraft. And this taught me a little bit. I would love to learn more. And I think that we will with our next annual with our airplane. I think that we're going to try to do one with the mechanic. That way we can learn more. But I did a lot of the oil changes. I would clean spark plugs. I was basically the person that prepped for inspection. So I would take off all the panels. I'd put the panels all back on once they were done with inspection. I would clean the airplane. I was just kind of like the bus boy of maintenance hangar, you could say.
You say you're not mechanically inclined, but I think that experience has shown dividends, like on my knowledge. Like, my knowledge is so minimal. You know, I read the books, the POH, whatever. That's what I know. but like you do have a little bit more understanding because you worked in a shop.
True. No, and I do pick up on mechanic stuff very quickly. If I get shown it once, I know how to do it. I understand it. I'm good at it. I just don't have experience doing a lot of.
Well, we're going to change it. We're going to add another thing to your job title.
Great.
Oil change master.
Yeah, that's exactly what I need is another freaking job. All right, let's check out the next story.
All right, I got one more short story. This is from another submission, and it was a student on their first solo cross country.
Oh, gosh.
So it's a short story, but slightly unnerving for a student on first cross country solo at a Class Charlie airport. First thing, though, the student that pulled the mixture intentionally should have been charged.
Oh, that's a past story.
Yeah, it's a past story. If you guys listen, I don't know what episode it is, but
one of the first episodes.
Yeah, some student pulled a mixture like on landing or takeoff on their CFI. Said, "Look what you do. What are you going to do now?"
Oh, on purpose. Yes, they pulled the mixture on purpose and said, "I'd like to see you land now."
Yeah,
and I agree. I was angry about that too.
Anyways, I was finishing my cross-country solo at the Class C airport where I live and landed, and everything was fine. Asked around to go clean up the airplane and departed again for home base. Went to the run-up area, did all my checks for departure, and was given the clear for takeoff. Took off, and ATC gave me vectors for home, and I noticed that it was slightly windier in the airplane than usual. I looked over, and the door was open. Oh, boy. I tried to give it a quick push-pull, but to no avail. I figured it was a 15-minute flight to my home base, so I let it go. Landed at my home base and just slapped my head. I never opened the window or door or anything for taxi at the Class C airport, even though it was kind of hot outside. Just a butt-clenching moment, but a learning one nonetheless. Didn't say a word to my CFI until the ride home for my check ride. I passed and had my certification. I told him then. He shrugged it off and told me a story about it too. It was very cool. Thanks for the cool podcast.
That's interesting. First of all, great job, especially being a solo student, to not freak out.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of accidents in the last couple of years.
Last year? There's been 4.
That have been due to a door opening because people get distracted, they get overwhelmed, they get stressed, they get so focused on the freaking door that they forget to fly the freaking airplane.
Yeah, so part of my new departure briefing that I want my students to all say, because of all these incidents and accidents, is we do our normal departure briefing, emergency briefing, but then we talk about the door or the window if we're in the Skyhawk. If the door or window pops open, we fly the airplane. Why? Because we can. Because it's specifically in Skyhawks, for those that know, like that.
Even before you take off, you want to abort the takeoff if it was in the beginning roll? If
we are airborne, I would say. So I
needs to be part of the brief.
Yes.
It's kind of like in multi-engine, what's going to happen at V1 before and after. Maybe it's rotation for you, and it's prior to rotation. We're at a nice big long runway. Door pops open. Let's just abort the takeoff.
Yep. So I usually try to give them that generic sense of like prior to rotation, any abnormalities, anything we abort. So that's under that. After rotation, door pops open, we fly the airplane. If we're both in there, then we communicate. I'll say, I'll take over. I'll fly the airplane. You shut the door.
The most important part of this, though, is not even, I guess, the details. It's that you are prepping them to expect that to happen.
Expect it.
If it comes by surprise, that's where pilots get in trouble.
Yeah, no, I've had the door pop open now at least 4 times in various models, and it's a nothing burger because my students are so like used to now briefing themselves. They don't even worry about it. Like a couple times they don't even like acknowledge it.
Good. That's great.
And I tell them that. I said, unless we're at a safe altitude where 1, you can put the autopilot on, or 2, if it's like flailing open, where it is a concern, and come back and land. Like we're not even looking at it.
That's awesome. I have always been told, especially from my Beechcraft upbringing, that's a lot of my background from selling and working for the factory. And I was always told that if you fly, it was always about Bonanzas, but I guess it could be Barons too. If you fly a Bonanza, if the door hasn't popped open on you on takeoff yet, it will. Because those ones are kind of hard to shut. And the interesting thing about the Bonanza is it only has one cockpit door. So the pilot is going to get in and shimmy their butt over to the left seat. Right seat, maybe your passenger who's not a pilot, who's not familiar with the door. And it is really hard. I remember doing demos in the Baron and Bonanza. It was so hard to shut the door from the left seat. Mm-hmm. And to teach a person over there, because you got to do it with a lot of force. And that's why they always said, like, it will pop open because your passenger is going to mess it up. It's not going to be actually closed because there's 2 latches on it and they're going to miss one, and it's going to pop open. And just don't freak out about it and come back and land. But because I was taught that, I am so triple checker of a door. Like when I have passengers, even in Mojo, you'll even see, I flew my friend Alex. She was the one that introduced us on the MBAA episode. I flew her in our airplane, and you'll see me in the YouTube video before we take off, doors and windows close. And then because I know she's a new passenger, I reach over her and I push the door open. It doesn't open. I'm verifying that it's closed and locked.
Always.
Because I check everything myself, because I know that this happens so often. I've seen the accident reports. Not going to let that happen to me. And I'm so proud of this submitter being a student solo cross-country pilot and not letting that affect them greatly.
Yeah. One more thing to beat a dead horse. I fly Cirruses. So everybody out there that has a Cirrus or flies a Cirrus, in your pre-flight checklist, in the checklist itself, it says, especially if you're flying solo, open the passenger door and close it on purpose.
Reclose it. On
purpose. It wants you to check it. And I see that missed probably every time.
Push
if you're going solo, you don't open and close it because you don't know who was in that plane last time, especially if you're a renter.
Yeah.
So open it, make sure it opens, close it, make sure it closes.
Yeah.
And like Mindy said, when I'm doing a lot of these intro and discovery flights, I now
push against the door.
Well, even before then, I will physically buckle the people in to their seats and then close the door.
And then go get in. Yeah. See, that's the luxury of the Cirrus, having 2 doors to the cockpit. That's awesome because you get to manage that situation. But yeah, and the Beach
Skyhawk too. I get that.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
The Bonanza and Baron, I could see that being real tricky if you were...
Because your passenger's last person in.
Yeah. Yeah, if you own one of those products and you have a newbie in there...
Watch out.
Well, that was good. Yeah, and this story, I know that you said it was short, but it's really meaningful because this happens to everybody. This is one of those things
that's really
when you're training right now for you who's the submitter, you're trying to do all these emergency stuff. What you just experienced will happen again, and even if you did everything right, just so you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you guys for these awesome submissions. Keep them coming. We do these episodes weekly, every Wednesday, so we can never have enough submissions, and we love to read them. So submit your stories and experiences. Even if you're like, oh, I'm not sure if it's good for the show, submit it. Let us decide. And I'll tell you right now, we have not skipped over any stories. So keep them coming, CaptainJohnDoe.com. And on that, we will see you guys next Wednesday.
See you guys. Thanks for flying with Captain John Doe. If you have a story to share, visit CaptainJohnDoe.com and stay anonymous. New episodes every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your favorite crew members.